Now, a Campaign 2015 election special, Moving Philadelphia Forward, a Democratic mayoral forum, sponsored by the Philadelphia Association of Black Journalists, the Community College of Philadelphia, KYW News Radio, and CBS 3.
My name is Cherry Gregg. I am the Community Affairs Reporter for KYW News Radio. I'm also the proud president of the Philadelphia Association of Black Journalists. It is my honor to welcome you to the Moving Philadelphia Forward 2015 Democratic Mayoral Candidates Forum. Roughly a third of Philadelphia's residents live in poverty, and 3 out of 4 do not possess a 4-year college degree. The next mayor of this city will have a huge impact on who gets what, when, and how much. Philadelphia is seeing a resurgence. New jobs, new housing, and new opportunity. Today is about you. You, the Philadelphia voter. You have a choice to make in just a matter of days. And that's what today is about. The Philadelphia Association of Black Journalists is a nonpartisan nonprofit, and part of our mission is to provide community access to information. PABJ is honored to present this educational forum in partnership with the Community College of Philadelphia and the college's Faculty and Staff Federation. And now the moderator of tonight's forum, CBS 3 anchor, Mr. Yuki Washington.
First, giving honor to God, hello everyone, and thank you. Thank you for joining us, and much love to the PABJ and the Community College of Philadelphia for making it all happen. Indeed. As you know, this is an exciting time in our city's history as residents of the city of brotherly love and sisterly affection. Prepare to select a new leader for this great destination that has taken its place not only as one of the greatest cities in our country, but continues to be in the forefront when it comes to the world stage. But like in any city, we have our issues. Which we intend to address with this mayoral forum in this wonderful venue provided by our friends here at Community College of Philadelphia. Now, this is a forum, it's not a debate. A time for the candidates to discuss and share their views while dealing with questions of public interest. We have questions that need to be asked. Questions that need to be asked, they need to be heard and responded to so that the voting public can have a clear idea on who they think will be the best fit to lead our city in the future. Let's do this by introducing the mayoral candidates and our panel of PABJ journalists who will be asking the questions and follow-ups if necessary. First, in alphabetical order, and I will introduce them one after the other, the individuals seeking the office of Mayor of the City of Philadelphia, and please save your applause for the end of the introductions. She led the Philadelphia Redevelopment Authority and was the first woman elected to municipal court. She graduated from Germantown High and earned a degree from Temple Law. She was Philadelphia's district attorney from 1991 to 2010, Lynn Abraham. Our next candidate is a longtime resident of our community, growing up in a housing project in Harlem, New York. He was appointed by then-President Bill Clinton in 1993 to serve as the general counsel at the Department of Housing and Urban Development. He served as city solicitor from 2001 to 2004, Nelson Diaz. Our next candidate served as city councilman at large. Born and raised in South Philly, he had positions on committees dealing with public health, fiscal stability, technology, and ethics. He recently resigned from office to run for mayor after serving 6 consecutive terms. Jim Kenney. Our next candidate's area of expertise includes business, politics, and communications. He led the new business development, marketing, and corporate communications for Philadelphia Gas Works. He's a product of the Germantown section of our city, Doug Oliver. Our next mayoral hopeful rose to prominence as an activist challenging the city's vending and housing ordinances. He was elected at the 181st District of Pennsylvania House of Representatives in 1978 and to the Pennsylvania State Senate in 1980. Milton Street. And our final candidate was born in Philadelphia. His mother was a public school teacher. His father served in the Pennsylvania Senate. An economics major, he launched his own vending company after working as a corporate analyst and executive at PepsiCo. He currently serves in the Pennsylvania Senate. Anthony Hardy Williams. Will you show your love? And of course, our distinguished panel of journalists, Philadelphia Daily News columnist Janice Armstrong, host of Wake Up with Word, that's 900 WURD-AM, Solomon Jones, Philadelphia Tribune, a managing editor, Irv Randolph, and Community College of Philadelphia student journalist, Aminata C. Show them your love and welcome. Now, each candidate tonight will be allowed no more than 1 minute and 30 seconds, a minute and a half, for their response, so we can keep the program moving. And if a rebuttal is warranted tonight, the response will be limited to 30 seconds. Our first topic deals with a subject that plagues many a city: poverty. Poverty. And the numbers are disturbing. All of our candidates, beginning with Lynn Abraham, will respond first to Janice Armstrong.
As you know, Philadelphia has the highest rate of deep poverty of any of the nation's 10 most populous cities. What specific things would you do as mayor to shrink the income gap between top wage earners and the poorest of the poor?
Probably the most intractable problem we have are the social ills that attract so many other issues to our impoverished citizens. The best and the most important thing is a first-class quality education. And the interesting thing for adults is a first-class educational opportunity for adults who need to have the tools to help their children.
Mr. Diaz, how would you attack poverty head-on?
Well, I believe that education is the only equalizer in our community. Because I got an education is the only reason that I was able to enter the middle class and be able to support my family, my parents, and my grandchildren. And I believe that what we have to do is make sure that we look and take the best interest of the child.
Jim Kinney?
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. There are 39,000 children in our city between the ages of 3 and 4. 14,000 of them have no access to quality pre-K, none. We can accomplish that goal in a three-year period by improving the quality of our pre-K offerings and by using city dollars to pay for the program, along with contributions from large nonprofits and from philanthropy and from grant attraction. We will also, there are a cohort of folks in our community that don't have a college education, may never have one. We need to find quality jobs for them, and where we can find that is the Port of Philadelphia, for example. We can invest large amounts of capital dollars into our port, along with the state and the private sector, to create high-level jobs for people who don't have college degrees.
Doug Oliver, specifics to closing the gap.
I think in the long term, we have to look at schools and jobs. I think we've heard that a little bit already. With respect to schools, we have to change the curriculum. We've got an antiquated model that's preparing students for jobs that no longer exist in manufacturing. We're not feeding their entrepreneurial spirit for the new environment, which is going to require them to learn how to learn so that they can adapt and be prepared for jobs that we may not even know exist yet.
Mr. Street, some 200,000 plus people live in deep poverty. What is your plan?
First thing I'm gonna do is stop the violence. Stop the violence in our community, because there's two reasons why people won't invest. One reason is violence, crime. Second reason is inability to hire a productive workforce. In the center city, in the areas where I live, we have entry-level people. So when you stop the violence so that you can get people who have money to invest in service-oriented businesses such as grocery stores and laundromats and car washes, the type of things where we can put some of these entry-level people to work.
Senator Williams.
Thank you. I would first identify who is in poverty, to begin a plan for poverty. Single mom, veteran, disabled, returning, somebody who's reentering. All those issues are required different skill sets to support them. So certainly education is a category, but there are programs which are undersubscribed today that we don't use intelligently that support those communities. We certainly should be using a municipal bank to drive out those who are returning, can't find a job, but give them the capital to start their own business in communities that need them and will employ neighborhood people.
Our next topic deals with ex-offenders, and Aminata C. has that.
The Mayor's Office for Reintegration Services has stated nearly 1 in 5 Philadelphians has a criminal record and often cannot find living wage work because of that history, even after completing training or graduating from places like community college. How would you remedy this issue so that returning citizens seeking to contribute to society can find jobs in their fields and become productive citizens?
Hello, Mr. Diaz.
One of the biggest issues is that once you get a record, there are some jobs that you can't get into. And there are opportunities in which we should have an educational program in the prison so people can come out with some skills that are workable skills that they can essentially be employed. Part of the problem is we don't do that in terms of our delivery of systems. And then when they come out, the question is, where are they going to go? We have to afford them an opportunity to get housing and affordable housing so they can come out and at least become a platform of development.
Mr. Kinney, I know you've talked about more training in facilities.
Well, first of all, I want to keep people out of the prison system to begin with, and that one of the things I did to affect that was the criminalization of the possession of marijuana. We learned that 4,200 people a year were being arrested for the de minimis activity of possessing small amounts of marijuana for personal use. 83% of those folks are people of color, disproportionate to the population that uses it. And those folks were arrested, handcuffed, photographed, fingerprinted, and given a criminal record, which follows them for life. Can't go to school with financial aid, you can't get into the military, you can't get a job, you can't keep a job. So we stopped that process going forward in the city, and we'll continue that.
Doug Oliver, we're talking second chances, back into work life.
Yeah, we don't have to guess what they need. I ride the subways every single day. I talk to about 500 people every single day. So many of those folks are living with arrests and convictions. In fact, 300,000 Philadelphians are living with arrests and convictions, and they will tell you exactly what they need. One gentleman shared his experience of having to pay the halfway house, having to pay the staffing agency, having to pay restitution, not having the ability to even look for a job. So I think we have to kind of look at the onboarding or the re-onboarding process of ex-offenders when they come out of jail.
Mr. Street, talk about second chances. You spent time in federal prison. You have a story. You're running for mayor. You know what it's all about. Tell us your story, your plan.
No, let me just tell you something because you're confused. I've never been convicted of a criminal activity in my life. Never. Okay? The press has tried to make it feel like that I am a returning citizen with a criminal activity. And most I've ever been convicted of is a misdemeanor. And probably everybody in here during some period of their life been convicted of a misdemeanor. So let's just make that clear. Number two, what I would do is we give people tax abatements, okay? But with those tax abatements, we never say there's a requirement for you to hire people from the community.
Senator Williams.
First, I would like to support expungement legislation so that we can remove, just like you had bread and butter licenses when you had a DUI, we should have expungement opportunities for those to remove it from the record so it's not even a part of the transcript. Second, we need to align real jobs with real opportunities. There are jobs in Philadelphia that are going wanting, even if you had a record. The waterfront was mentioned. There are several other categories, but we don't prepare people for those opportunities. Third, we need to bring real jobs that will allow people, such as the energy hub, such as technology, that would actually employ people with records and give them the full opportunity.
Irv Randolph wants to know about community policing.
A new Department of Justice report on the Philadelphia Police Department revealed major problems within the department on the use of deadly force and training. What are your plans to increase police accountability, and would you support a special prosecutor in police-involved shootings?
Mr. Oliver.
I think the recommendations that came down from the feds were all valid. I think it recognized what we have known for a long time, the relationship to be in our neighborhoods all across the city. I think there's a couple things that we need to pay attention to as we think about public safety in our neighborhoods. And first is training of our police department, not only around sensitivity training, but also cultural training. Help them understand the environment in which these neighborhoods have become the way they are. As Yuki just mentioned, it wasn't always like this. This is something that's happened as we've continued to disinvest in schools. This has happened as we've removed activities from our community, and while we know how we got here, we know how to get back.
Milton Street.
First thing we do is restore the trust between the police and the community. The way you do that is get rid of stop and frisk. Stop and frisk has had to go. You had 200,000 people stopped in 2014. 95% of the time, there was no criminal activity. 80% of those stops were minorities. There were 67 stops with bulges where people had cell phones. 1 weapon was found out of 67 stops. You have to be able to create that. And the way we're going to do that is create a community policing force, the only people that will stop the crime and restore the trust between the police department and the community are the people that live in that community.
Senator Williams.
The President of the United States took this so seriously that he commissioned a group of enforcement people to come together, headed by Commissioner Ramsey. I think it had 91 points to it. About 50% of it is germane to Philadelphia. I have adopted that wholeheartedly with regard to my position in my policy paper on public safety. I've challenged my colleagues to sign on. Thus far, one has, Lynn Abraham. In addition to that, we added an addendum, and that addendum basically said if a police officer uses disparaging comments, ethnic slurs, gender slurs, a variety of other sexual orientation slurs, that officer should be fired without arbitration.
Lynn Abraham.
I think it's fair to say that I've investigated more allegations of abuse of force or excessive force against police and against against police officers who are alleged to have used excessive force against civilians. This is a very difficult problem. However, the Presidential Commission just gave us a guidepost, several recommendations about how we curtail, if not eliminate, use of force. First of all, a complete revamp of training of police officers in use of force. Second of all, a requirement that officers be used to making sure that they have mace with them and tasers so that the escalation is lowered. The first instance is not to draw one's weapon and shoot at somebody. Second of all, they've failed to inform officers in a comprehensive and an appropriate way that use of force is not what the officer felt at the moment.
Mr. Diaz, we're talking about community policing.
I'm very, very strongly on that, and I want to make sure there is police relationship, that the police is familial part of that community, and that we make sure that the children also have a relationship with the police by using PAL centers.
I'm in favor of the implementing 91 recommendations of DOJ. I just don't sign political pledges. I make a habit not to do that because people get in trouble when they sign pledges, but I'm saying now for the record in front of you, I'm in favor of implementing those 91 items. We asked for it. Commissioner Ramsey was the one who made the request. But I think the recruitment of police officers, I mean, when I was a kid in the 60s, all the cops looked like me. And we've changed that in a great number of ways, but we need to go further. I think we need to recruit in historically black colleges and universities. I think we need to recruit a military personnel campuses. I think we need to bring more trained people.
They're dominating our newscast in recent years, the subject of education. So many facets to this diamond. A diamond that has lost some of its luster. I'm sure all of you know that. Mr. Jones.
In a recent Pew poll, Philadelphians identified education as the city's top issue due to the school district's persistent deficits and lack of classroom resources. Would you support replacing the School Reform Commission with an elected school board? Why or why not?
Senator Williams, let's start with you.
I would not replace it with an elected school board. I actually have Philadelphia and Delaware County elected school boards become politicians. They're not any more effective than the SRC when it comes to that.
Lynn Abrams, I know you talk about teachers quite a bit.
Yes, indeed.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I favor the replacement eventually of the SRC. However, the SRC was not imposed upon us. The city of Philadelphia made an agreement with the state in order to get funding, and the price that they got for the funding was the state-imposed SRC, with the governor and the legislature having 3 seats, and the city of Philadelphia, through its mayor and others, having 2 seats, 3 outvotes to every time, at least in the public school education that I got in Philadelphia. So I think the problem is going to be, what do we have to do to rid ourselves of the SRC?
Mr. Diaz, I know schools are your #1 priority.
I will work with the governor to make sure that we end the SRC and that we establish parental control.
Mr. Kinney, would you support replacing the School Reform Commission
First
with
of
an
all,
elected school board?
it's the first question I think, well, the first question I'd like to answer is no, I'm not in favor of an elected school board. Second, the mayor of the city of Philadelphia will not have the authority to get rid of the SRC. It's the governor and the legislature. So I'd rather spend my time and efforts lobbying for reimbursement for charter schools that Corbett took away and lobby for fair funding formula statewide.
Doug Oliver.
I'm in favor of stronger local control. Locally elected boards concern me, especially when we have a city where in the last mayor's race we only had 18.5% turnout. Even before that, in the highest years, we only get 30% turnout. When you have a locally elected school board, that can become very, very political, very, very fast, and that would be of concern to me.
Street?
No. Is this on? Oh, no. We talk about school, and I think that what happens is we don't identify the underlying problems that's associated with our funding of our school district. You have 75,000 blacks in the school district, 25,000 Hispanics, 19,000 Caucasians, and others. You have a minority school district. And anytime you have a minority school district, you're going to have trouble getting funding.
Mr. Randolph, let's wrap it up with the candidates' views concerning minority businesses.
As mayor, how would you make sure that everyone is included in the resurgence in the city, particularly black and Latino communities? And how will you remove the barriers that exist for minority businesses?
Councilman? Councilman King.
Well, first of all, I'll go back to the neighborhood shopping districts. I think in every neighborhood there are districts. They have varying degrees of strength or weakness. Shoring them up and making sure that people have the chance to open a business and to be involved in entrepreneurship.
Doug Oliver?
I think we need to put teeth in the contracts. When we set goals and standards for minority business participation, oftentimes it looks good on the front end, but by the time particularly construction projects are done, they have not fulfilled their obligation, yet they have received tax benefits and tax credits or cash from the city to incentivize them to develop in the city. So I think there has to be harsh penalties.
Helping minority businesses thrive, Milton Street.
The question, I believe, was what can you do to assure everyone? Well, nothing.
Senator Williams, how do you see it?
I agree with most of what everybody's talked about. Certainly increasing contracting, which has, of course, bumped up us to a whole 10%. Certainly investing in our neighborhoods and communities is important. The private sector is what has to change in Philadelphia.
Then Abraham, how do you see it?
I think that the best way we can enhance and increase minority business participation across the board of anybody who qualifies as a minority is first to obviously have that person or that group of person have access to capital.
Mr. Diaz, close us out.
Well, I've had the opportunity to do it. There's somebody in the audience today, Archie, who got $1 million from the city in legal fees because we needed someone who was qualified and competent to do the work, and he's not supporting me, so I don't do a pay-to-pay.
Ladies and gentlemen, now it is time for our closing remarks. 1 minute to our candidates on why they would like to be and should be the next leader of our great city of Philadelphia. Senator Williams, and let's go down the line. You have the floor.
Thank you. I believe in a city that will provide a quality education for all children, regardless of what zip code you live in. The tension between the type of school should be removed with schools that are paid for, well-funded, and most importantly, provide a quality education regardless of who you are. I believe in an economy for those who are returning, those who may have been dropped out, those who may have been stepped over, including those who have it all. An integrated economy that allows neighborhoods not to be pitted against Center City. And most importantly, I believe in a judicial system, public safety, that recognizes the value of Robert Wilson III, who was a black police officer, as well as the young man or young woman who's walking down the street with their jeans on. And I ask us tonight to rebuke the comments. We would lose a lot of decent amount of police officers if that was the policy. The policy that will allow a police officer to use the N-word publicly.
Milton Street.
My wish is and my hope is that we can reach the point, and I will be working for this, where the people where I live will have value. The people where I live, in the inner cities, they apparently have no value. Every morning, one is shot. Every morning we get up, somebody's shot. Man walks his dog, and somebody gets shot, and we say nothing. Everybody should be angry. One person was shot dead or killed by ISIL. Jordan got so angry that it sent out the Air Force. For the value of one person, we lose children and young people, and we do nothing. Our young people and our senior citizens, people who live in the inner city, we have value. We have value. Every time a life is taken, we should be upset. That value should be of such where every one of us come together and say, enough is enough. It stops right here, right now.
Doug Oliver.
Do I get an extra 10 seconds like he did? I just want to know that.
And I tried to time it up best I could.
Right,
Yeah.
wrong.
We owe you. Okay.
Thank you all for the opportunity to be here tonight. I'm running for mayor because I love my city. I'm excited about where we are. I'm even more excited about where we're going. My campaign is focused on education, jobs, and fairness, because when you have a city that's divided the way ours is between those that have and those that don't, you have to look at it with a mindfulness for fairness. I believe if we asked 10 different problems here in the city, 8 of them would trace back to a failure to either educate or to employ. You show me a city that's educated and employed, I'll show you a city that's vibrant and growing and spending less money at DHS, less money on prisons, and I'm excited about that future that's before us. Last thing I just want to leave you guys with, our city is continuing to evolve, it's changing, and we need a different perspective. I seek to bring that perspective even against people with more than a century's worth of experience up here. A century.
Amen.
A century's worth of experience, yet we
10
still
seconds.
have these challenges. Let's find a different perspective for it all.
Jim Kinney.
Well, I'm a lifelong Philadelphian. I'm a son of a firefighter and a son of a working mom. I've been in the city my entire life. I've worked in the city my entire life. I have the understanding that was given to me by the Jesuits in high school and by my parents that you're truly not happy until you're serving others, and that service to others is the highest quality you can have in a person. I have the experience, I see what works and what hasn't worked, and I have the passion and compassion and ability to move the poverty needle and to make lives of our citizens better in the city over the next 4 years. So thanks for your consideration.
Mr. Diaz.
I want to thank the black journalists for putting this together, because you're the only ones that sometimes cover our community and community accurately, so I want to thank you for that. I also want to thank the viewers for their participation in viewing this activity, but as you know, I'm the only one that has the executive experience up here that has done the work, and what I want for you is, it hurts me that the schools are such bad shape, and I want to fix the schools, I want to create jobs, and I want to make sure that crime is reduced. It is the only way in which we are going to survive with a 28% poverty rate in the city. We have to make sure, if that is not corrected, this city is going to die as a city.
Lynn Abraham.
Thank you, PABJ and Channel 3, for sponsoring this evening. I'm a lifelong resident of this city, and I have a love and passion for this city that is unremitting. I've been in public service for a very long time and want to continue to serve the public. I think the public wants and needs a trusted, proven, experienced leader who is ready on day one to do the job of governing. I see Philadelphia as the next great American city, and I want to lead her there, where everybody in the city feels included and has a seat at the table, where every child has the right to expect a first-class quality education, where nobody is hungry, nobody is homeless, and the impoverished have hope and the promise of a new and bright future. This is where I want to spend my life and my life's work. And I believe you and I will enter into this partnership on May 19th. Please, everybody, come out and vote for Mayor of Philadelphia, Lynn Abraham. Nobody's mayor but yours.
Once again, the mayoral primary is May 19th. As Lynn Abraham just mentioned, please exercise your right to vote. God bless you all. God bless the city of Philadelphia. God bless America. I'm Yuki Washington, Channel 3, Eyewitness News.
This has been a Campaign 2015 election special. Portions have been edited for time.